Look at the African continent today, and you'll find an insatiable demand for mobile technology. Hundreds of millions of people rely on these devices daily for banking, commerce, and communication. But there is a structural leak in this economy. Nearly all of these handsets are shipped in from Asia. This setup forces countries to spend valuable foreign exchange on finished goods, draining capital straight out of local markets. You can see this reality on the ground in retail shops like this one. The shelves are packed head to toe with imported boxes. With zero local assembly happening on the continent, minimal value is added to domestic economies. The push to change that dynamic originates nearly 3,000 miles away, here in Helsinki. During a recent state visit to Cairo, Egyptian officials held parallel closed-door talks with two massive players in Finland's technology ecosystem, HMD Global and Nokia. These meetings laid out a clear, coordinated, state-backed strategy to build a localized tech supply chain right on the continent, anchoring both physical hardware and the networks that support them in one place. The geographical center of this new operation is Egypt, shown here along the Cairo skyline. HMD Global, the company that licenses the Nokia phone brand, has officially designated the country as its primary manufacturing hub for Africa. Manufacturing operations are already live. Since 2023, the company has been running pilot production at a facility in the new Assiut Technology Park, assembling roughly 12 different product models on an active production line. Now, the focus is pure velocity. HMD will ramp up output to 2 million mobile phones annually by 2026. Within that volume, the share of basic feature phones will shrink, replaced gradually by a much larger production of 4G-capable smartphones. This image displays the physical hardware targeted for regional distribution. Producing these Nokia devices locally guarantees steady supply lines for a massive consumer base. Reaching that 2 million unit mark transitions the Egyptian facility from a localized testing ground into an industrial-scale operation. It turns the country into the primary production base for the entire region. Building millions of 4G smartphones requires local networks that can actually handle them. That brings us to the second half of this diplomatic engagement, led by Nokia's infrastructure division. While HMD handles the physical devices, Nokia is establishing a fully integrated regional center in Cairo to handle the back end. They're setting up an entirely new hub dedicated strictly to technical support and managed services. Managing physical infrastructure like this telecommunications tower is increasingly complex right now. Across the Middle East and Africa, we are seeing a surge in 5G expansion and a heavy reliance on cloud computing, driving intense demand for advanced network management. The two Finnish strategies operate as an interlocking loop. Affordable, locally made 4G devices drive wider consumer access to the internet. That increased traffic requires the exact technical support and infrastructure upgrades Nokia is setting up to provide, because hardware without underlying infrastructure is fundamentally useless. By securing both the physical devices and the network backbone simultaneously, this strategy ensures both layers of the digital economy scale together. Generating 2 million devices goes far beyond what Egyptian consumers need, turning domestic output into export volume. The massive cargo ship shown here passing the Welcome to Egypt sign represents the next phase of the plan. HMD intends to use the country as a springboard. The target is to establish fast, direct distribution routes from the Cairo manufacturing hub out into the broader consumer markets of North and East Africa. To make this system permanent, they have to solve one final operational hurdle. Importing raw parts from Asia to assemble in Africa leaves the supply chain vulnerable to delays. The solution is developing local feeder industries for components. Attracting domestic suppliers reinforces the local value chain, cutting out overseas shipping. For the end consumer, the math becomes very simple. Stripping away intercontinental shipping premiums and heavy import duties results in vastly more affordable 4G smartphones on local store shelves. This coordinated maneuver across hardware and networks actively breaks the passive reliance on imported Asian tech. If executed correctly, it lays down the physical and digital foundation for a self-sustaining tech economy in Africa.